All right, let's talk about how we're going to describe surfaces. So a surface is something that is two-dimensional typically. So I'm going to use this iPad here as my surface example. We want to figure out how we can describe this surface. We're going to describe surfaces using an area vector symbolized by A with the vector notation on top. It's a vector, so it has a magnitude and a direction. If we have a nice simple surface like this, my area vector, the magnitude of the area vector will be the area of the surface, okay? The direction of that vector is going to be perpendicular to the surface. So if my thumb was my area vector, I would put it something like this. My area vector would be pointing this way. If my surface is up here, if I'm thinking about the surface down here, my area vector is pointing downwards like this. And the purpose of this is that now I can describe the orientation of the surface in space by talking about my area vector. Which direction is it pointing and how big is it? It tells me about how big my surface is and in which direction is the surface pointing in. Sometimes you might need more than one area vector for a single surface. So this isn't a good example of that, but maybe something like this. I have this little apple here where if I wanted to describe the surface, I would now have to describe it locally all around the apple. So if I want to talk about the surface on the edge of the apple here, I might have an area vector pointing perpendicularly out of the surface there. But if I want to talk about the surface up here, I might have an area vector pointing perpendicularly out of the surface up top. And those two area vectors are pointing in different directions. So what we can start to talk about is a differential area element if we want to describe the full area of a surface like this. Sometimes surfaces are closed. This is an example of a closed surface, right? If I want to talk about the area vector in physics, we're going to choose the convention that your area vector is always pointing outside of your surface. Can't really get into the apple here to draw a vector inside the apple. So our area vectors are going to point outside the surface. You could have an open surface. So if I take my iPad here and now I open it up like this, now I can start to talk about maybe there's different area vectors that I can use to describe this surface now. So those are area vectors in a nutshell, which we'll be using in the next couple of sections.